The first contact in a galaxy teeming with advanced civilizations, the Galactic Empire was the most powerful and feared. Their technology was unmatched, their fleets were immense, and their reputation for dominance was well-earned. Yet, amidst the vast expanse of the cosmos, they had never faced a species as peculiar as humanity. The Galactic Empire's council was convened in a grand hall, its walls adorned with shimmering star maps and holographic displays of their dominion. The leaders, draped in their majestic robes, sat in high-backed chairs, their expressions stern and confident. They were discussing their latest encounter with a primitive species from a small, unremarkable planet called Earth. "Reports indicate that these humans have sent us a message," declared High Commander Zeros, his voice echoing through the chamber. "They claim that if we engage in conflict with them, it will be to our disadvantage." The council members exchanged amused glances. To them, Earth was a minor planet with primitive technology and no significant strategic value. Their military forces had been preparing for wars against more formidable foes, not against a species that had yet to master space travel. Empress Lyra, a sharp and calculating leader, leaned forward. "They must be trying to intimidate us. It's a common tactic among lesser civilizations. Our sensors have detected no advanced weaponry on their world. It seems they are attempting to bluff." The council members nodded in agreement. They were used to dealing with threats far greater than a planet on the edge of the galaxy. The thought of humans posing any real threat was laughable to them. Their confidence in their superior technology and military prowess was unshakable. Meanwhile, on Earth, the situation was very different. Humanity had long been underestimated by the galactic powers. For centuries, Earth's inhabitants had been busy developing their own technologies, hidden from the eyes of the universe. They had discovered advanced techniques and built secret weapons, all while the rest of the galaxy regarded them as insignificant. In a high-tech underground bunker, Earth's leaders were preparing their response to the Galactic Empire's intrusion. Dr. Emily Carter, a top scientist, and General Mark Lewis, a decorated military strategist, stood in front of a massive holographic map of the galaxy. "The Empire thinks they can easily defeat us," General Lewis said, his face illuminated by the flickering light of the map. "They're underestimating our capabilities." Dr. Carter nodded, her expression serious. "We've spent years developing technology that they have no idea about. It's time to show them that we're not as primitive as they believe." The humans' message had been carefully crafted. It was a warning disguised as a diplomatic gesture. They had no intention of provoking a war, but wanted to ensure that if the Empire did choose to engage, they would be in for a surprise. The message read, "Should you choose to challenge us, be prepared for consequences beyond your imagination." Back in the Galactic Empire's council chamber, the message was received with the same mixture of amusement and dismissiveness. The leaders were confident that their advanced fleets and weapons would crush any resistance from the humans. They decided to proceed with their plans, viewing the message as nothing more than an attempt to scare them off. The Empire's preparations were swift and thorough. Their ships, sleek and formidable, were readied for deployment. They mobilized their most elite troops and equipped their forces with the most advanced weaponry available. The Empire's pride was at stake, and they were determined to show the galaxy that even the smallest of threats could be easily neutralized. As the Empire's fleets set course for Earth, they were filled with a sense of superiority. The Galactic Empire had conquered worlds far beyond the reach of humanity, and the thought of a tiny, primitive planet presenting a challenge was both amusing and insulting to them. However, unbeknownst to the Empire, humanity had been preparing for this moment for a long time. They had developed technologies that were far beyond their apparent level of advancement. The humans' hidden weapons and tactics were designed to exploit the very weaknesses of their would-be conquerors. On the eve of the impending conflict, Earth's leaders gathered to review their final plans. The atmosphere in the command center was tense but hopeful. They knew that the battle ahead would be their greatest challenge yet, but they were ready to face it with all their strength and ingenuity. General Lewis addressed his team. "We've spent years preparing for this. Now it's time to put everything we've learned into action. We will show the Galactic Empire that underestimating humanity was their greatest mistake. Dr. Carter added, "Our technology and strategies are ready. We've anticipated their moves and prepared countermeasures. They think they're dealing with an easy target, but we will prove them wrong." As the Galactic Empire's ships approached Earth, they remained unaware of the formidable challenge that awaited them. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test the limits of both civilizations. The Empire was confident in their superiority, while humanity was ready to demonstrate their resilience and resourcefulness. The first contact had been made, and the universe was about to witness a clash of civilizations unlike any it had seen before. The Galactic Empire's dismissive attitude toward humanity would soon be tested in ways they could never have imagined. As the two forces prepared to collide, the future of both worlds hung in the balance. The Empire's miscalculation. The Galactic Empire's warships glided silently through the void of space, their sleek metallic forms cutting through the stars. The Empire's fleets were massive and awe-inspiring, brimming with advanced technology and weaponry. They had set their sights on Earth, convinced that their superiority would ensure an easy victory over what they still considered a primitive civilization. High Commander Zeros stood on the bridge of the flagship, his gaze fixed on the holographic map displaying their approach to Earth. His expression was one of stern confidence. "Prepare the fleet for initial bombardment. We will demonstrate our might and force the humans into submission." Empress Lyra, standing beside him, nodded in agreement. "Our sensors show no significant defenses from their end. They are clearly overestimating their capabilities. Once we engage, they will quickly learn the folly of challenging the Galactic Empire." The Empire's ships were equipped with state-of-the-art weapons and shields. Their armies were highly trained and disciplined. They had faced countless foes and emerged victorious each time. The thought of humans posing any real threat seemed preposterous. Back on Earth, the mood was different. As the Empire's fleet approached, Earth's leaders were busy finalizing their preparations. In a high-tech command center hidden deep underground, General Mark Lewis and Dr. Emily Carter were overseeing the deployment of their secret weapons and strategies. "The Empire is coming in full force," General Lewis said, studying the display of incoming ships. "They're going to underestimate us, and that's exactly what we want." Dr. Carter, her fingers moving swiftly over a console, replied, "We've built our defenses to exploit their weaknesses. Their technology is advanced, but they're blind to what we've been working on. They think we're an easy target, but they have no idea what's coming." As the Empire's fleet drew closer, they began their initial attack, targeting key strategic points on Earth. The bombardments were powerful, shaking the planet's surface. The Empire's strategy was simple: overwhelm the humans with their superior firepower, destroy their major cities, and force a quick surrender. The first wave of attacks was devastating. Earth's cities were hit hard, and the world's defenses struggled to cope with the onslaught. To the Empire, this was a clear sign that their plan was working flawlessly. They anticipated a swift victory, with the humans either surrendering or being wiped out completely. But beneath the chaos, Earth's hidden defenses were coming online. Dr. Carter's team had prepared a series of countermeasures designed specifically to counteract the Empire's attacks. Their technology, though not as advanced in appearance, was highly effective in its purpose. General Lewis watched the monitors with a keen eye. "They're pushing us hard, but our systems are holding. It's time to deploy our surprise." But as the Empire's troops landed and began their ground operations, they were met with an unexpected challenge. Earth's forces, armed with advanced weaponry and tactical knowledge, fought back fiercely. The Empire's troops, though well-trained, were caught off guard by the effectiveness of their opponents. The Empire had underestimated the humans' resolve and capability. The technology they had thought would be easily defeated turned out to be more resilient and adaptable than expected. The humans' hidden weapons systems and defensive measures were proving to be highly effective. Commander Zeros, observing the situation from his command ship, was beginning to realize that things were not going according to plan. "Deploy additional troops and increase the intensity of the bombardment. We need to crush their resistance." Despite the increased pressure, Earth's forces continued to hold their ground. The humans had anticipated the Empire's moves and had prepared counter-strategies for every scenario. Their unexpected resistance began to erode the Empire's confidence. In the Empire's command center, Empress Lyra's frustration was evident. This resistance is stronger than we anticipated. Their technology is more advanced than our sensors indicated. We need to reassess our approach. The Galactic Empire's pride was starting to wane as the battle dragged on. Their initial superiority was being challenged, and their forces were struggling to adapt to the unexpected capabilities of their opponents. The once confident Empire was now facing the reality that their easy victory was slipping away. On Earth, General Lewis and Dr. Carter saw the opportunity. They knew that the Empire's miscalculations could be turned to their advantage. With their defenses holding and the Empire's forces overextended, they planned a counteroffensive to exploit the situation. "We've got them on the ropes," General Lewis said with a determined look. "Let's push forward and make them regret ever underestimating us." Dr. Carter agreed, her eyes flashing with resolve. "We'll show them that humans are not to be taken lightly. This is our chance to turn the tide." As Earth's forces prepared for their counteroffensive, the Galactic Empire faced a crucial turning point. Their initial confidence had been shattered, and the miscalculation of their enemy's capabilities was becoming painfully clear. The battle was far from over, and the Empire's once assured victory was now in jeopardy. The conflict was no longer just a display of power, it had become a true test of endurance and strategy. The Galactic Empire was learning the hard way that humanity was not the primitive species they had thought, and the outcome of the battle remained uncertain. The Galactic Showdown. The Galactic Empire's fleet hovered ominously above Earth, their massive warships casting shadows over the planet. The once confident Empire now faced an unexpected challenge. Despite their advanced technology and overwhelming numbers, they were struggling against humanity's determined resistance. The Empire had underestimated their opponents, and the battle had reached a critical juncture. High Commander Zeros stood on the bridge of his flagship, his face etched with concern. The holographic display before him showed the chaotic scenes unfolding on Earth's surface. Despite their initial success, the Empire's forces were now engaged in fierce combat with the humans. Zeros could not ignore the growing realization that this was no ordinary conflict. "Adjust the fleet's strategy," Zeros ordered sharply. "Increase the bombardment intensity and deploy additional troops. We need to crush their resistance and secure a decisive victory." On Earth, General Mark Lewis and Dr. Emily Carter were preparing for what they knew would be the most critical phase of the conflict. They had watched the Empire's forces struggle with their unexpected defenses and had used this opportunity to regroup and plan their next move. "Now's the time," General Lewis said, his eyes scanning the tactical display. "The Empire is overextended and their forces are spread thin. We need to hit them hard and fast." Dr. Carter nodded in agreement, her fingers flying over the controls. "We've got a few surprises left. Let's deploy them and see how the Empire reacts. We need to make sure they know that underestimating humanity was their biggest mistake." With a series of commands, Earth's forces activated their hidden assets. Specially designed drones and automated defense systems began to deploy across key battle zones. These systems were equipped with advanced weaponry and were programmed to exploit the weaknesses of the Empire's technology. As the Empire's ships continued their bombardment, they were suddenly met with a new and unexpected resistance. The drones and defense systems unleashed a barrage of firepower, targeting the Empire's fleet with precision. The Empire's advanced shields and weapons struggled to cope with the intensity of the assault. Empress Lyra watched from her command ship, her frustration mounting. "What are these new systems? They're hitting our ships with incredible force. Increase the shield power and prepare for evasive maneuvers." Despite the Empire's efforts to adapt, the humans' surprise tactics were taking a toll. The once mighty fleet, which had seemed invincible, was now experiencing significant damage. The Empire's soldiers, already weary from prolonged combat, faced new challenges as they fought to maintain their foothold on Earth. On the ground, the humans launched their counter-offensive. General Lewis led his troops with a fierce determination, pushing back against the Empire's forces. The humans' advanced weapons and strategic acumen began to turn the tide of the battle. The Empire's troops, who had expected an easy victory, were now struggling to hold their positions. "Keep the pressure on," General Lewis shouted to his soldiers. "We've got them on the ropes. Let's finish what we started." Dr. Carter monitored the progress from the command center, her eyes focused on the real-time data. Our tactics are working. The Empire's forces are in disarray. We need to keep up the momentum and push them back. The Galactic Empire's confidence was fading as the battle raged on. Their ships, once symbols of dominance, were now being battered by the unexpected resistance from Earth's forces. The Empire's leaders began to realize that their initial assessment of humanity had been gravely wrong. Commander Zeros's face grew grim as he observed the unfolding chaos. This is not going as planned. We need to reassess our strategy and find a way to regain control. The Empire's desperation grew as they faced the possibility of defeat. Their once assured victory was slipping away, and they struggled to adapt to the rapidly changing situation. The humans, who had been underestimated from the start, were proving to be a formidable and unpredictable opponent. As the battle reached its climax, both sides faced their moment of truth. The Galactic Empire's fleet was severely damaged, and their ground forces were stretched thin. The humans, emboldened by their unexpected success, continued to press their advantage, pushing the Empire back and reclaiming lost ground. In the heart of the conflict, General Lewis and Dr. Carter were determined to see their efforts through to the end. They knew that the outcome of this battle would determine the fate of Earth and their place in the galaxy. "We've come too far to back down now," General Lewis said, his voice filled with resolve. "Let's show them what humanity is truly capable of." Dr. Carter nodded, her expression unwavering. "We've turned the tide. Now we need to make sure the Empire knows that this fight is far from over." As the Galactic Empire faced the harsh reality of their miscalculation, the humans continued their relentless push. The once confident Empire was now grappling with the consequences of underestimating their opponents. The battle for Earth was far from over, and both sides were locked in a struggle that would define their future. The galactic showdown had reached its peak, and the fate of both civilizations hung in the balance. The Empire's grand plans were unraveling, and humanity was proving that they were not to be underestimated. As the conflict raged on, the universe watched with bated breath, witnessing a clash of civilizations that would be remembered for generations to come. The Empire's desperation. The Galactic Empire's once formidable fleet now floated above Earth, battered and bruised. The recent battle had not gone as planned. Despite their superior technology and overwhelming numbers, they were facing unexpected resistance from humanity. The Empire's grand plans were crumbling, and desperation began to seep into their ranks. High Commander Zeros paced nervously on the bridge of his flagship. The holographic displays around him showed a chaotic scene, damaged ships, scattered troops, and a relentless counteroffensive from Earth's forces. His sharp eyes betrayed his anxiety. "Empress Lyra," Zeros said, his voice strained, "our forces are being pushed back. The humans' tactics and technology are proving more effective than we anticipated. We need to reconsider our approach immediately." Empress Lyra, who had been watching the situation unfold with a grim expression, turned to face Zeros. "We cannot afford to lose this battle. Our reputation is at stake. We must find a way to break their resistance and regain control." In the heart of the conflict, Earth's forces continued their relentless assault. General Mark Lewis and Dr. Emily Carter were leading their troops with unyielding determination. The Empire's initial advantage had been overshadowed by the humans' strategic brilliance and advanced technology. Now, it was the Empire's turn to face the consequences of their overconfidence. General Lewis, observing the battle from the command center, could see the Empire's desperation growing. "They're struggling. Their attacks are becoming less coordinated, and their defenses are weakening. We need to press our advantage." Dr. Carter nodded, her face lit by the glow of multiple monitors. "We've already turned the tide. Let's keep the pressure on. We need to push them to the breaking point and force them into a retreat." The Galactic Empire's situation was becoming increasingly dire. Their attempts to regroup and launch counterattacks were met with fierce resistance. Earth's forces, armed with advanced weaponry and tactical ingenuity, continued to hold their ground and drive back the Empire's troops. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, Empress Lyra called for an emergency meeting with her top commanders. The room was filled with tension as they discussed their dwindling options. "We need to deploy our most powerful weapons," Lyra declared, her voice resolute. "Activate the prototype energy cannon and target the largest human stronghold. We must make a decisive strike and break their morale." The prototype energy cannon was a top-secret weapon designed to deliver an overwhelming amount of energy in a single blast. It had never been used in battle before, and its effects were unknown. The Empire hoped it would provide the breakthrough they desperately needed. On Earth, General Lewis and Dr. Carter were preparing for the next phase of their strategy. They had managed to hold off the Empire's forces and were now focused on planning their next move. "We need to be ready for anything," General Lewis said. "If the Empire has resorted to deploying their most powerful weapon, they must be in a state of panic. We need to anticipate their moves and counteract their plans." Dr. Carter's eyes narrowed as she analyzed the incoming data. "I'm detecting an increase in energy signatures from one of their ships. It looks like they're preparing to use the prototype cannon. We need to act quickly to protect our strongholds." As the Empire's prototype energy cannon charged, its massive power build-up was evident. The energy levels were escalating rapidly, and the Empire's fleet prepared to unleash the devastating blast on Earth. General Lewis and Dr. Carter rallied their forces, preparing for a defensive maneuver. They had anticipated the possibility of such a weapon and had developed countermeasures to neutralize its effects. "We have to use the energy shield generators," Dr. Carter instructed. "Deploy them to the target areas and activate the energy dampeners. We need to reduce the impact of the Empire's blast." The shield generators were quickly positioned around the human strongholds, and the energy dampeners were activated. As the Empire's prototype cannon fired, a massive beam of energy shot toward Earth. The impact was immense, shaking the surface and causing widespread destruction. But the shield generators worked as intended, absorbing and diffusing much of the energy from the blast. The damage was significant, but the stronghold's core defenses remained intact. The Empire's weapon had not delivered the knockout blow they had hoped for. In the aftermath of the blast, the Empire's desperation grew. Their most powerful weapon had failed to break Earth's defenses, and their forces continued to suffer from the relentless human counterattacks. The Empire's leadership faced a harsh reality. Their plan was faltering, and their grip on victory was slipping away. High Commander Zeros, watching the ongoing battle with mounting frustration, turned to Empress Lyra. "Our forces are being pushed to their limits. We need to consider a tactical withdrawal before our entire fleet is destroyed." Empress Lyra, her face set in grim determination, knew that their situation was dire. "If we withdraw now, it will be a major blow to our prestige. But if we stay, we risk total defeat. Prepare for a strategic retreat. We need to regroup and reassess our strategy." As the Empire's fleet began to withdraw, the humans' victory was not yet complete. The battle had taken a toll on both sides, and the war was far from over. General Lewis and Dr. Carter watched as the Empire's ships retreated, knowing that their fight was far from finished. "We've made significant progress," General Lewis said. "But we need to stay vigilant. The Empire will regroup and likely come back stronger. We have to be ready for whatever they throw at us next." Dr. Carter agreed. "This battle has shown us that humanity can stand up to even the most powerful forces. We need to use this victory to prepare for the challenges ahead." As the Empire's fleet disappeared into the stars, the galaxy watched with bated breath. The once mighty Galactic Empire had been forced to retreat, and humanity had proven its resilience and strength. The conflict was far from over, but the Empire's desperation had set the stage for a new phase in the struggle for dominance. The final confrontation. The Galactic Empire's retreat had given Earth's forces a brief respite, but the respite was short-lived. The Empire was regrouping, their leaders desperate to regain their lost glory. The battle for Earth had reached its climax, and the galaxy waited with bated breath as both sides prepared for the final confrontation. High Commander Zero stood in the war room of the Empire's flagship, his face marked by fatigue and determination. The retreat had not been the end of their ambitions. It was merely a pause. The Empire's leadership had re-strategized, and now they were ready to launch a decisive offensive to crush Earth's resistance once and for all. "Prepare the fleet for a full-scale assault," Zeros ordered, his voice echoing with urgency. "We'll launch a multi-pronged attack and force the humans to surrender or face complete annihilation." Empress Lyra, standing beside Zeros, nodded in agreement. We've lost too much already. This time we will not underestimate them. We will use all our resources to ensure victory. On Earth, General Mark Lewis and Dr. Emily Carter were preparing their forces for the final battle. They had managed to hold off the Empire's previous attacks, but they knew the next assault would be their toughest yet. The Empire's renewed determination meant that Earth's defenses had to be stronger and more coordinated than ever. "We've seen what the Empire is capable of," General Lewis said, his face grim but resolute. "This is it. We need to use everything we've got and prepare for the ultimate confrontation." Dr. Carter, her eyes focused on the tactical displays, replied, "We've fortified our defenses and mobilized our best units. We need to anticipate their moves and be ready to counter their tactics. We can't let them gain the upper hand again." The Empire's fleet, now fully prepared and brimming with advanced weaponry, surged back toward Earth. The ships were a formidable sight, their sleek forms and powerful engines a testament to the Empire's technological prowess. But this time, they faced a well-prepared and determined foe. As the Empire's ships entered Earth's orbit, they immediately launched their attack. Waves of energy blasts and missiles streaked toward the planet, targeting strategic locations and key defenses. The Empire's goal was clear: to overwhelm Earth's forces and force a swift surrender. On Earth, the sky was filled with streaks of light as the two sides clashed. The human defenses sprang into action, their shields and countermeasures engaging the incoming attacks. The battle was intense, with explosions lighting up the sky and the sound of weaponry echoing across the battlefield. High Commander Zeros, watching the ongoing battle with mounting frustration, turned to Empress Lyra. "Our forces are being pushed to their limits. We need to consider a tactical withdrawal before our entire fleet is destroyed." Empress Lyra, her face set in grim determination, knew that their situation was dire. "If we withdraw now, it will be a major blow to our prestige. But if we stay, we risk total defeat. Prepare for a strategic retreat. We need to regroup and reassess our strategy." As the Empire's fleet began to withdraw, the humans' victory was not yet complete. The battle had taken a toll on both sides, and the war was far from over. General Lewis and Dr. Carter watched as the Empire's ships retreated, knowing that their fight was far from finished. "We've made significant progress," General Lewis said, "but we need to stay vigilant. The Empire will regroup and likely come back stronger. We have to be ready for whatever they throw at us next." Dr. Carter agreed. "This battle has shown us that humanity can stand up to even the most powerful forces. We need to use this victory to prepare for the challenges ahead." As the Empire's fleet disappeared into the stars, the galaxy watched with bated breath. The once mighty Galactic Empire had been forced to retreat, and humanity had proven its resilience and strength. The conflict was far from over, but the Empire's desperation had set the stage for a new phase in the struggle for dominance. The final confrontation. The Galactic Empire's retreat had given Earth's forces a brief respite, but the respite was short-lived. The Empire was regrouping, their leaders desperate to regain their lost glory. The battle for Earth had reached its climax, and the galaxy waited with bated breath as both sides prepared for the final confrontation. High Commander Zeros stood in the war room of the Empire's flagship, his face marked by fatigue and determination. The retreat had not been the end of their ambitions, it was merely a pause. The Empire's leadership had re-strategized, and now they were ready to launch a decisive offensive to crush Earth's resistance once and for all. "Prepare the fleet for a full-scale assault," Zeros ordered, his voice echoing with urgency. "We'll launch a multi-pronged attack and force the humans to surrender or face complete annihilation." Empress Lyra, standing beside Zeros, nodded in agreement. "We've lost too much already. This time we will not underestimate them. We will use all our resources to ensure victory." On Earth, General Mark Lewis and Dr. Emily Carter were preparing their forces for the final battle. They had managed to hold off the Empire's previous attacks, but they knew the next assault would be their toughest yet. The Empire's renewed determination meant that Earth's defenses had to be stronger and more coordinated than ever. "We've seen what the Empire is capable of," General Lewis said, his face grim but resolute. "This is it. We need to use everything we've got and prepare for the ultimate confrontation." Dr. Carter, her eyes focused on the tactical displays, replied, "We've fortified our defenses and mobilized our best units. We need to anticipate their moves and be ready to counter their tactics. We can't let them gain the upper hand again." The Empire's fleet, now fully prepared and brimming with advanced weaponry, surged back toward Earth. The ships were a formidable sight, their sleek forms and powerful engines a testament to the Empire's technological prowess. But this time, they faced a well-prepared and determined foe. As the Empire's ships entered Earth's orbit, they immediately launched their attack. Waves of energy blasts and missiles streaked toward the planet, targeting strategic locations and key defenses. The Empire's goal was clear: to overwhelm Earth's forces and force a swift surrender. On Earth, the sky was filled with streaks of light as the two sides clashed. The human defenses sprang into action, their shields and countermeasures engaging the incoming attacks. The battle was intense, with explosions lighting up the sky and the sound of weaponry echoing across the battlefield. General Lewis nodded, his expression serious. "I know. We need to start the recovery process immediately. We've won the battle, but the real work begins now. We need to help our people heal and repair the damage." Back on Earth, the victory celebrations were tempered by the somber reality of the war's impact. The cities that had been on the front lines were in ruins, and many lives had been lost. The people of Earth, however, were resilient. They came together to support each other, determined to rebuild their world and honor those who had sacrificed so much. The United Nations, along with various international organizations, coordinated efforts to provide aid and support. Relief teams were dispatched to the affected areas, and emergency measures were put in place to help those in need. The global community rallied, offering resources and manpower to aid in the recovery. In the command center, General Lewis and Dr. Carter were busy with planning and logistics. The damage to their defenses was extensive, and repairing it would take time and resources. They knew that Earth's forces needed to be prepared for any future threats. "We've learned a lot from this conflict," Dr. Carter said as she reviewed the data on her screen. "Our defenses held up better than we expected, but there are weaknesses we need to address. We must strengthen our technology and improve our tactics," General Lewis agreed. "This battle showed us that we can face even the most formidable foes, but we can't become complacent. We need to be ready for anything that comes our way." Meanwhile, the Galactic Empire was dealing with its own crisis. The retreat had been a devastating blow to their ambitions, and the once proud empire was now struggling to recover from its defeat. The empire's leaders faced harsh questions from their people and their allies. High Commander Zeros, now back on his homeworld, was summoned to a meeting with the empire's ruling council. The council chamber was filled with tension as the leaders awaited his report. "You failed," one of the council members said harshly. "The empire's power is in question. What do you have to say for your failure?" Zeros, his face etched with exhaustion, struggled to defend his actions. "We underestimated the humans. Their resilience and technology were beyond our expectations. We fought with all our resources, but their determination proved stronger." The council members exchanged glances, their displeasure evident. "The consequences of this failure are severe," another member said. "We must regroup and reassess our strategy. We cannot afford to let this setback undermine our authority." The empire's leaders knew that regaining their lost prestige would be a difficult task. They began to focus on internal reforms and rebuilding their forces, hoping to recover from the humiliation and restore their position in the galaxy. Back on Earth, the mood was one of cautious optimism. The victory had been hard won, and the recovery process was underway. The people of Earth were determined to rebuild their cities, restore their defenses, and honor the memory of those who had fallen. The scientific and military communities worked together to analyze the data from the conflict. They sought to understand the Empire's technology and tactics better, using this knowledge to strengthen Earth's defenses and prepare for any future threats. General Lewis and Dr. Carter continued to lead the recovery efforts. They met with engineers, scientists, and military strategists to develop new plans and improvements. Their focus was on creating a more robust and resilient defense system, one that could withstand any future challenges. "Despite the damage, we've come out of this stronger," General Lewis said during a briefing with his team. "Our forces are more united, and our technology is more advanced. We need to use this opportunity to build a better future, Dr. Carter agreed. The lessons we've learned from this conflict will help us prepare for whatever comes next. We've proven that humanity can stand up to great threats, and we need to continue to grow and evolve. As the days turned into weeks, Earth began to heal from the wounds of war. The cities were rebuilt, the defenses were strengthened, and the people looked forward to a future where they could live in peace once again. The memory of the conflict remained, but it served as a reminder of humanity's strength and resilience. The galaxy watched with interest as Earth recovered from its victory. The defeat of the Galactic Empire had shifted the balance of power, and the events of the conflict would be remembered as a significant turning point in history. The aftermath of the battle had left its mark on both Earth and the Empire. While the Empire faced a long road to recovery, Earth emerged as a symbol of determination and unity. The conflict had tested humanity's resolve, and they had come through it stronger and more prepared for the future. Reflection and future. In the quiet aftermath of the Galactic Empire's defeat, Earth was slowly returning to normalcy. The cities that had been ravaged by war were gradually being rebuilt, and the scars of battle were beginning to heal. The people of Earth were taking stock of what had happened, reflecting on their hard-won victory, and looking forward to a future shaped by their experiences. General Mark Lewis and Dr. Emily Carter stood on the balcony of the newly reconstructed command center, overlooking a bustling cityscape. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the recovering landscape. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of cautious optimism and determination. "The progress we've made is impressive," Dr. Carter said, her eyes scanning the city below. "It's amazing to see how quickly things are coming back together." General Lewis nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We've been through a lot, but our people have shown incredible resilience. We've learned so much from this conflict. It's important to reflect on those lessons and use them to build a better future." The recovery had not been without its challenges. The battle had left deep marks on the world, and many families were still grieving their losses. However, the shared experience of overcoming such adversity had brought people together in a way that had never been seen before. "We need to honor those who gave their lives," General Lewis said. "Their sacrifices were the foundation of our victory. We must ensure that their legacy lives on in the work we do and the future we build." Dr. Carter agreed. "We've also gained valuable insights into our own capabilities and the threats we might face. This knowledge will help us prepare for whatever comes next. We must not become complacent." As the sun dipped below the horizon, a ceremony was held to commemorate the fallen and celebrate the resilience of humanity. The event was attended by leaders, soldiers, and citizens who had played a role in the conflict. There were speeches, moments of silence, and a sense of unity that transcended the hardships of the past. During the ceremony, General Lewis addressed the crowd, his voice steady and filled with emotion. "Today, we remember those who sacrificed everything for our freedom. Their bravery and dedication are an inspiration to us all. We've faced a great challenge and emerged stronger. Let us honor their memory by working together to build a future of peace and prosperity." Dr. Carter added her thoughts, emphasizing the importance of continued vigilance and progress. "The battle may be over, but our journey is just beginning. We must use what we've learned to create a safer and more advanced world. Our strength lies in our unity and our commitment to each other." As the ceremony concluded, the people of Earth returned to their daily lives, motivated by a renewed sense of purpose. The memory of the conflict served as a reminder of what could be achieved when people came together in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, the Galactic Empire was grappling with its own reflections. The defeat had shaken the foundation of their power, and the leaders were engaged in intense discussions about the future of their realm. The once dominant empire was now facing the reality of its diminished influence and the need to rebuild its strength. High Commander Zeros and Empress Lyra were among those leading the efforts to restore the empire's status. They recognized that they had to adapt to the changing dynamics of the galaxy. Their focus was on internal reforms and rebuilding alliances to regain their position. "Our defeat was a wake-up call," Empress Lyra said during a council meeting. "We need to reassess our strategies and strengthen our systems. We cannot afford another setback like this. Our future depends on our ability to adapt and grow. Zeros agreed, adding, "We must learn from our mistakes and build a more resilient empire. The galaxy is evolving, and we must evolve with it. Our strength will come from our ability to face challenges head-on and improve ourselves." The Empire's rebuilding efforts were focused on technological advancements and diplomatic outreach. They sought to forge new alliances and strengthen existing ones to regain their influence. The road to recovery was long, but the Empire's leaders were determined to reclaim their place in the galaxy. On Earth, the focus was on ensuring that the lessons learned from the conflict were not forgotten. The scientific and military communities continued their work, using their newfound knowledge to advance technology and improve defenses. There was a strong emphasis on collaboration and innovation, with efforts aimed at preventing